Hi, Kapil. Thank you so much for having me. So I've really gravitated towards your work, and this was a few years ago, and it definitely changed my life. And in what of the truth I was able to understand, obviously there's much more I need to understand. And one thing I've been so gravitated towards your work, and I know you've talked a lot about intellectualism and intellectuals, and a lot of that resonates with me when I see people, in universities, and people having these kind of frivolous conversations and kind of looking for social status. But when you think of the who are considered, the great philosophers and thinkers and such, do you think it's worth pursuing some of their texts and looking for those?
Well, have you read those? Have you read those things?
I have read some of those things.
Okay, and what did they do for you?
Your work was a lot more.
I'm not comparing anything. What you asked about the philosophers of the past, and what did those works do for you?
I was able to. There were some truths and some concepts and things that did have some effect. But I did find a lot of things were kind of jumbled and difficult to understand. And sometimes I wonder if they weren't being as direct, or maybe just the text is from a previous era. There's different modes of speeches. It was definitely, not to compare, but that's just, you're from the same, historical era, and you speak in a way that is a lot more direct. So I don't know if that answers what you were asking.
Well, if you get something from it, you're asking if you should read those people, and that was my simple answer. If you get something from it, then why wouldn't you? And if you don't, then why would you?
Fair enough. Thank you. I'm just I'm younger, and part of me feels, and I do get some things that it's just kind of a chase to find something, and then part of me sees the resonance they've had.
Well, why are you reading anything to begin with?
Because I believe, I believe that there are people that have understood things that I don't, or am not even aware of the concept of, and perhaps I might discover that in reading.
Okay, and then what sort of things are you looking to discover? What kind of help, so-called help, are you looking for?
That's a difficult question. I really, even what's pulled me to your, pulled me to your work is and just all these, I guess what you might call, what a layperson or anyone might just call it a deeper or more resonant things is I've just always kind of felt a sense of just kind of knowing, just living in society that no one seems to really know anything. Not in a just that there's no one before finding you and certain other people, like some of the people I read and whatnot. It seems like there's just it's devoid of wisdom, and it just kind of and I just I feel like I know there are people out there that know things that I just have a longing to know things.
How old are you?
I'm 25.
Well, it's true. What you have found, society, I don't need to verify this. It's true. What you experience in your social circle and in the environment, in society, in the world, where you are, wherever country you're in, whatever school you're in, it doesn't matter. It's all the same, just different languages. It's just nonsense in a different language. That's all it is. So everyone's basically talking nonsense. And that nonsense is what what has been tape recorded and played and replayed into their ear for all their life. And so they're, in the way that it was put on a loop into their ear, they speak on it as a verbal loop to others. So, and even then the intellectuals then come along and they think they're smart. So, and they're, what they consider intelligence is memorizing a bunch of words and concepts like stoicism and talking about other people's words and bragging about how many books they've read so that they can intellectualize and talk about these words that they've had no real experience with, just the words. So that's what's going on. And so, yes, if you really want to learn something, you're not going to learn it from lectures and influencers and hack givers and all these things. You are going to have to find it on your own. So that is true. Now, what you have to understand you have to understand people. You have to understand why those things that were written were even written. Everything is basically written in order to get across a message. Everything is basically written in order to get you to do something, or to think a certain way, or to believe something, or it's all proselytization. And it doesn't matter how ancient it is, it's all the same. So if you read someone, who's a person who's enlightened or whatever it may be from centuries ago, he might say, like, one is all and all is one. Okay, fine. What are you gonna do with that? Okay, I mean, the intellectual will put that in his pocket, and he'll walk around and say, one is all is one, because he's a parrot and a memorizer. That's all he is. He doesn't have anything of his own. He's a book reader, right? It's all he is. He's a content imbiber. But what are you going to do with that? So the things that are written, you have to understand, are for the masses. So you have to understand that. If you don't understand that, then you'll fall prey. You have to understand that all of these things were written for the lowest common denominator. So they've been dumbed down, and the ones that are not been dumbed down you're not going to understand. And then you're going to think that you understand by repeating the words, and you're not going to get anything. So it isn't like everything preaches, even the ancient texts, it all preaches. Do this, be kind and compassionate. Buddhism's, meditate on loving kindness, and it's just all this drivel, right? That sounds wonderful, and you can applaud the Dalai Lama, and you can bow, and all that. It's just a bunch of crap. That's all it is. Right? It's just cosmetics. If you really want to get somewhere in this life, you have to know truth. And in order to know the truth, you have to have the DNA to truly want to know the truth. If you're the DNA of a scientist or an intellectual, you're finished. The truth is not for you. It's not because truth cannot be grown in a test tube. And truth isn't written in an influencer book, right? It isn't a stoic type. It's not nonsense. But the truth is so bitter. The truth is so harsh. And the reason it's harsh and bitter isn't because it's harsh and bitter. It's because everything that you've been taught is sweet nonsense. So you have a sweet tooth for nonsense, and then the truth comes along and say, well, oh, that's a bunch of crap, and it's this over here. And that goes against not only everything that you ever heard, but it actually turns all philosophies, all your goodness and badnesses and your kindnesses and your propernesses and your mindfulnesses, it throws them in the garbage, and it calls them out. And a human being finds it very difficult to bear the weight of that. It's too heavy. It's too much. Therefore, they seek a soothing balm of spirituality. Have your nice little meditation, and you practice your little loving kindness, and you do this and that, and burn your incense, and think positive thoughts, and become stoic, and that's all just that's just Ben Gay. Right? So if you're looking for the truth when you read those ancient texts, I'm not saying that there's no truth in those ancient texts. I'm not saying that, because there is. But that isn't the intent. The intent of anything being written down, otherwise it wouldn't be written down. The intent of anything being written down is to get a message across. And the more that message is written in order to get the maximum amount of people in the world to read it and to learn it, and all for good intention. There's no ill intention. But like Buddhism, practice loving kindness for all sentient beings. It's nonsense. Because if you're not anywhere yet, why are you practicing for other people when you're nobody? You're nothing. You've achieved nothing. It's just let me have a go at giving this lecture now as the assistant. It's all nonsense. So you have to understand that when you read a book, what was the intent? And universally, across everything, the intent is always to reach the masses. The intent is always to get across a message. The intent is always for you to think and change and improve and better yourself, and loving kindness all over the place, and love, and this and that, and kumbaya, and it's all just incense. It's all it is. So you're not going to find books that speak just raw truth. It doesn't exist, because the person writing that book has too much interest in the masses to write raw truth. He has to dumb it down, because he doesn't want one person to get it in the entire world. That isn't, otherwise he wouldn't write the book. But that very intent to reach the most people also destroys the validity and the power and the integrity of what is being said. It is dilution. So for me, I'm not better, and I'm not this, and I'm not that. I just happen to have an interest, which is in truth. A devoted, lifelong interest, and I just happen to, and I'm not good because of that. So when I write a book, I get annoyed when I get a lot of sales. I don't want people buying my books. I put them out there. I wrote it. I liked writing it. So I wrote it, and that's it. I put it out there. But that's just because I like writing the raw, direct truth. I enjoy it because that's what I like. But I have no interest in people getting it and changing anyone or having anyone do anything or change anything. So the intent isn't there. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just isn't there. The intent isn't there to get you to do something. So I don't want as many humans as possible reading my books. They shouldn't be. It's a waste of their time and money.